Greetings to all. This is Ranjini working as an assistant professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering at RMD Engineering College. In the previous video, we saw about what is linked list. So in this video, let's see about the implementation part of the singly linked list. So while entering into the program, the first step will be declaring a variable. So here also, first is we have to declare a node. So we know a node has two different elements. So obviously we have to create our own data type. So here I am using structure to create my user defined data type. So first is a struct node, which means a user defined data type is which I have created now is struct node. Next is the int data, which means in the data part I'm going to hold the integer value. So I'm giving the data type to be int. And next line is to node star next. So star next, obviously star next, which means this particular part we are going to hold the address of the next variable. I'm giving the value to be star next. So why did I give the data type to be node? So now look into this blue line, int data, int star p is equal to ampersand a. So star p is a pointer variable which holds the address a. So why did I give the data type here to be int is since p is going to hold the address of a, this a is holding a integer variable. So here we give the data type to be a. Suppose this a is holding the a's data type is float, means we have to mention here the data type will be float. Now look at this picture. Now this next is going to hold the address of the next node. So what is the data type of this entire node? Is the data type of this entire node is node, struct node. So now it was this star next was holding the address of the next node. What will be the data type of the node? Obviously the next node also will be node. So here we are using the node star next. That's why we are using a data type to be node. Now for implementation purpose we need three more pointer variable. So we are using node star head comma star underscore new underscore node comma star temp. Now the next step is inserting into the singly linked list. How we do insertion into the singly linked list? Before that, now imagine this head is pointing to this node. Suppose the address of this node is 100. So the address value into the node head is 100. Now how to access this part is head, this pointer data arrow mark data. How to access this is head arrow next. Now let's see the insertion part of the linked list. Initially I'm assuming the assigning the head value to be null. First the head value is equal to null. I'm initializing head value to be null and two more pointers are there, temp and new underscore node. Those values, some garbage value will be there in this particular pointer. Next, how many nodes do you want to insert? I have to give the number of nodes. Suppose if I'm giving 5 means 5 nodes will be inserted. Using a loop repeatedly I'll call the node and insert the node. So next step, the first step while inserting is we have to create a node. So how to create a node is this new, blue new is a keyword used to create a node. So new, this node is the name of the structure, this structure node. So new node, new node, this new is a keyword used to create a node and node is the a structure. So I'm creating a new node. I'm converting, saving its address into the new underscore node. So it is a user defined pointer variable. See this pointer variable. So I'm creating a new node and saving it into new underscore node. Look at this picture. I have created a new node. So new node address is 100. So I'm saving 100 into this particular node. Next is enter the value. So I have to enter the value. Next, obviously to insert. Why we are creating a node? To insert some value. So into the value position, I'm inserting a value. So how to access this position is which pointer is pointing to this position? New underscore node is pointing to this position. So the name of this place is data. So new underscore arrow data is I'm inserting the value. Inserting the value into this position. So 12 I'm inserting into this particular position. And the next position, initially I'll keep the value. Each and every time if I create a node, I'll keep this particular address value to be null. If I'm inserting the next node means I'll update the address value. So initially I'm keeping this address value to be null. So what will be the next step? The head is, if head is equal to null, which means so already we know always the head pointer should point to the first node. Since this is our first node, so next step is we want to make this head pointer to point to this first node. So So if the head is equal to null means what is the scenario is obviously there is no other nodes. Always the head will point to the first node. Now if the head is equal to null means this is the first node I'm going to insert. So if the head is equal to null means what I have to do is I have to make a head to point to this particular position. So so how to make a head to point to this particular position? I have to update this null value with 100. Since the address of the node, this node is 100, I have to update the value here with 100. So where is the 100 available? 100 is right now, the 100 is available at new underscore node. So head is equal to new underscore node. And also I'm making one more pointer, temp is available. I'm making the temp also to point to this particular location. Now look at this picture. Now what are in this particular new node? What are this node? What are the pointers are pointing to? Head is also pointing to this node. Temp is also pointing to this node, and new node is also pointing to this node. This is the first scenario. The first scenario here, while inserting, we have to check for two scenarios. One is head is equal to null, and the next part is head is not null. Okay, now the head is equal to null. And the else part is, suppose imagine I'm going to insert the second element. So a second element. So what happens? So here insertion is done. Again it will enter into. So I have given the value to be 3. So 0 is less than 3. So this process is done. Now it will increment the value. We'll check for 1 is less than 3. Yes, 1 is less than 3. Again I'll enter into the loop. What is the next step? New node is equal to new underscore node is equal to new node, which means I'm creating a new node and I'm saving its address in the new node. Initially, while creating a first node, the value the new node is pointing to the first node. Now I'm creating the second node. Now what happens? The second node is look at this picture. The second node is created, and now new node the value is updated to be 200. Why so? Now I'll check for 1 is less than 3. Yes, 1 is less than 3. I'll enter into this line. New node. Now I'm creating a new node. Next step is obviously I'll create a new node. I'm creating a new node and I'm saving its value into the user defined pointer variable new underscore node. So the pointer variable, this pointer variable is eliminated, and now the pointer is moving on to the next node, new underscore node. Now what happens? New underscore node value is updated with 200. Next, enter the value into the new arrow data. I'm inserting the value, and into the new arrow data I'm inserting the value, and new arrow next value I'm updating with null. So this is the now I have created. I'm having two nodes. One node is this one, and the other node is at one node is at the address 100, and the second node is at the address 200. Now what is the next step? Now not at over. I have created two nodes, but I haven't yet made the connection. So I have to make a connection. Now look at this line. If head is equal to null. Now our head is not equal to null. Our head value is 100. So I'm not executing this part. I'm moving on. Moving to the next part. Next part. What should I have to do? I have to create this link. If I want to create this link, this link I have to create now. See, this link I have to create now. So if I want to create this link, what I have to do? I have to update this particular position with what? 200. This particular, since the address of the next node is 200, I have to update this position with 200. To update this position with 200, what can I do? Two pointer, head and temp is pointing to this particular position. Either I can make up a head arrow next, or the name of this position can be accessed using head arrow next or temp arrow next. Anything is okay. So in this particular code, I am using temp arrow next. So why I am using temp arrow next? I'll explain. The temp arrow next. So temp arrow next, I am updating with new. Which address has to be stored in this particular position? 200. So where is 200 available right now? 200 is in the new node. So I am giving temp arrow next is equal to 200. Next step is what I have to do is I have to shift the temp to the next position. So now look here, temp next. The third step is I have to make a temp to shift to the next position. Why so? Suppose, imagine I'm going to insert the third node. If I'm inserting the third node, what happens is the new node, if I'm not shifting this temp, means imagine this temp is not available in this particular position. Temp is in this particular position only. Temp is here only. the first node, I haven't shifted the temp. So what happens is I'm creating a node, I have created a new node, and this position, this null value I have to update, isn't it? In the memory location 200, I have to address the next position with 300. Now if the temp is pointing to the first node, means using which pointer will I access this node? It's not possible. That is why I'm shifting a temp to the next position. Okay, so I'm making a temp is equal to new node. So what happens? Temp is equal to new node. What is the value of new node is? New node value is 200. So I'm making the step 3. I'm making a temp. So temp also I'm keeping as new node. Now the temp value is 100 will be overwritten with 200. So the temp will move to the next position. Now let's get more clear by inserting a third node. This is our this is after inserting the second node. Up to this are inserting a second node. Now I have created a third node. So what happens? Again I'll enter into the loop. I'll check 2 is less than 3. Yes, 2 is less than 3. I'll enter into the loop. And my first step is I'll create a node. So first step I'll create a node and I'm saving its address into new underscore node. So I'm saving its address into new underscore node, isn't it? Next step is enter the value. So entering a value. So how to enter the value? New underscore node arrow data. So I will enter the value. And also next position I'm assigning with null. Now I have created a new node. Next step what I have to do? I have to make a link. Suppose imagine here instead of putting temp, I'm giving us head. If I'm giving us head, what happens? Head is at this position only. So if I'm giving head over here, I told you 2 pointers here while inserting 2 nodes, 2 pointers there. So I'm not giving, suppose if I'm instead of giving temp arrow next, if I'm giving head arrow next, means yes, I can access this node by temp arrow next and also head arrow next. Instead of giving temp arrow next, if I give the head arrow next, means while inserting a third node, what happens? This is the scenario. So head arrow next means at this position, link will be created from 100 to 300, not from 200 to 300. That is the reason why we are giving us temp arrow next. So now temp arrow next is equal to what? New node. So which means temp in the temp arrow next position. Temp arrow next means this particular position I'm keeping a value 300. Okay, now thus in the step 2 I have created a link. What is the next step? Is obviously I have to shift a temp to the next position. So next is the temp value, now temp value should be updated as 300. So where 300 is available? Here. So I'm giving temp arrow next is equal to now I am giving temp is equal to 300. So how to insert a node? This is a general insertion purpose. Now how to insert a node at the beginning? So now this is the node. This is already our node, how it will be look like. So here I haven't mentioned the temp and the new node. So obviously new node will move on to the node. If we are creating a new node, means new node will move into that particular position. But now what does we don't know where our temp will be. That's why in this picture I have eliminated the temp. Obviously temp will be somewhere in these 3 nodes, but right now we don't know where it is. That's why I haven't mentioned the temp. Now, new node is equal to new node, which means the same like. So, new is a keyword which we use to create a node. So, here, like, since we are used to capital N, here the capital N will come over here. And now, so, new node, insert at the beginning. New node. Next line is what we have to do, enter the element. I'm entering the element and I'm inserting the particular value, particular position. New node data is equal to null. And next is new node next is equal to head. Why so? So this will be the first step. New node next will be head. So obviously what happens in this null position, also one more line can be added. This is step 1. In the step 1 you can also add one more line. New node next is equal to null. According to our step, what happens is new node is equal to new node. I'm creating a node, then entering a data, and here you can also add one more line. New node next is equal to null. So what will be the next step? The next step is I have to create a link, isn't it? If I want to create a link, what has to be done? This in this position, obviously the first node will hold the address. So this position, the first node's address has to be stored. So I want to make this node as my first node, isn't it? So what we do, so which one head pointer will hold the address of the first node? So in the new node next position, I'm keeping the value head. So now I have created a link. I have created a link. And what is the next step? Is obviously now this is the first node. If this is the first node, I want to make a head pointer to move on to the first node. So next step is head is equal to new node. This is insert at the beginning. Now insert at the last. Insert at the last, which means the same thing. I have created a new node and initially I'm keeping a temp at the first position. Temp at the first position. Why so? I want to make up, we don't know where a temp is. I want to make a temp to point to this last 300 in the position 300. So initially I'm keeping a temp at the head and temp next is not equal to null, which means until the temp next not now look at now making temp is at the first node. Look, is the temp next not equal to null? No, temp next is 200. So I'm making a temp to shift to the next position. So I'm making a temp to move on to temp next, which means temp next value is 200. 200 I'm going to place in the temp. So my temp will move on to this position. And again I'll check whether the temp next not equal to null. Now my temp is at this the 200. Temp next value is 300. It's not equal to null. So I'm shifting a temp to the third node. Now temp next, yes, temp next is not equal to null. So now no shifting will be done. So right now my temp will be at this position. So, see the picture, temp is at this position. So next step, what is the next step is I have to create a link. So I have to create a link. In this position, I have to make a updation. They had 400 has to be placed. Where is 400 is? 400 is at the new node. So what did I have to do? Temp next is equal to new node. Look at the next line. What I have to do with temp next is equal to new node. Thus, I have created a link. This is what insert at the end. And thank you for watching the video.